Okay, good day, guys. Good day to you all. Welcome back to the Formula Sports channel. Thanks for being here. A gentle reminder, as always, to please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as these are indeed free and easy ways to support the channel. And as always, thanks for the tremendous support that the channel receives. We do appreciate it. So, guys, I want to talk a bit about some of the tactical errors and tactical improvements that we saw in the Gold Cup, right? Some of them cost us, I mean, especially in the US game, in my opinion. It was a tactical error, so to speak, was the main reason why we got booted from the tournament. And to be fair, player mistakes as well, right? Some of the player mistakes could be argued that it was also, reasons of a tactical breakdown, so to speak, why those errors would have came. But I want to touch on them a little bit, right? And basically lay out the tactical errors and the tactical improvements that I personally think that that was made in the tournament and we can improve on going forward. For starters, this might seem a very simple issue, but it can cause a lot of problems nonetheless. And that is a designated free kick taker. Right? We saw 6, 7 man stand up over ball for take free kick. Argument that take place between players, right, to take free kicks. I mean, that need for cut out. We need to have a designated free kick taker. If that particular player is not on the pitch, you have a second in line, a third in line, a fourth in line, etc., etc. There needs to be some sort of command or chain of command, so to speak, when we are going to take free kicks. You can't have arguments on the pitch. For free kicks that need to be sorted out, we need to have a designated free kick taker, because here's the thing, that can cause division in the camp. So before the game or the tournament start, we need to have a designated free kick taker. We don't want division in the camp over a simple thing like a free kick, right? And we want the right person to take the free kick as well. We don't want people that not qualified to be taking free kicks, right? So that is the very first issue that I saw and that we need to address going forward, right? A second issue that I saw in this tournament, right? A second issue that I saw in this tournament, for me personally, if you noticed, every single game, that was played, we had one fullback in an advanced position and the other being more conservative, right? So I want you guys to understand what I'm saying, right? So for instance, in the Suriname game, for instance, the Suriname game is not the best example. The Guadeloupe game, for instance, right? We saw Alvas Powell, in a more advanced position, right? And yes, Amari Bell would sometimes push up to assist, but for the entirety of the game, Amari Bell was playing a lot more conservatively than Alvas Powell. Now, some people will boil that down to, it's the player's individual trait, so to speak, right? I actually think it's the tactics. I think it's tactics of Theodore, Tappa, Whitmore, because I see a trend, right? Let's say, for instance, the Costa Rica game. O'Neal Fisher was the one that was required to be more conservative, while Kemar, Taximan Lawrence, and a lot of times was in very advanced positions, right? Even a take shot at the goal from just outside the penalty box, right? Remember that play when Turgot made that cross into Lawrence and he hit it one time, right? Now, my problem with these guys is that while we can't have a system in place where both fullbacks rotate to join the attack, and by that what I mean is that when the play is analyzed and we realize on that particular play we need the right fullback, for instance, to join the attack, right, to help with the fluidity of the attack, right, to be a passing option, to help to be a link man, so to speak, and also to make overlapping runs, right? and underlapping runs as well if the coach so pleases, right? While we can have both fullbacks rotating, you know, in terms of the responsibility of going forward. Why is always one in an advanced position? I mean, throughout the entire tournament, it was always one in an advanced position and one playing more conservatively. Rotate the attack, change up things, switch up things, you know, make it a little bit more unpredictable, you know, and also after a while the opposition knows what to expect, right? So you get what I'm saying is like, well, even if you want to create overloads, even if the aim of Tappa was to create overloads on one side of the pitch, it's just always one side of the pitch the overload is taking place on, right? It's not, I'm not saying both fullbacks should be in an advanced position at all times, you know. That's not what I'm saying, right? I'm saying that when you analyze the play and you realize that the right fullback on this particular play, you know, can be in a more advanced position to support the attack, let him go forward and support the attack. Then when you analyze the next play now and you realize that the left fullback can be in an advanced position to support this attack, to support this respective or particular attack, right? It would better help with the fluidity of the attack, help with another extra body in there, right? Help with you know, for instance, an out ball out of pressure or an additional passing option to help with the fluidity of the attack. Fine. Let both fullbacks rotate in going forward. So on one particular play, you have the right fullback in an advanced role and the left fullback sitting more conservatively. On another particular play, you have the left fullback, you know, in a more advanced position and the right fullback sitting more conservatively. In the same game, you switch up things. You don't have it where throughout the entirety of the game, the right fullback is playing in a more advanced role and the left fullback is conservative. And then in another game is the left fullback, you know, in a more advanced role and the right fullback more conservative. Switch up things during the game. Don't just have one fullback in an advanced role the entire game, right? Rotate the fullbacks going up the pitch, rotate the fullbacks going forward, right? So that I think, you know, helped or would have, if you had both fullbacks rotating going, you know, conservative, one staying conservative, you know, and one going advanced and then, you know, rotating, you know, and so forth and so forth. I think that would have helped with the fluidity, right? Because what happens is when plays, let's say for instance, in a particular game, right? Tappa has designated Alvas to go forward and Bell to play a little bit more conservative. What happens when the play is on the other side of the park, right? The play is on the other side of the park, right? And it would be good to have an additional body right there supporting the attack down that flank, right? You get what I'm saying? I mean, that's my whole thing. Like rotate the fullbacks going forward. That's what I see some of the biggest clubs in world football doing. I don't see just one. It's very rare in my opinion. Well, not, I shouldn't say very rare. It does happen, but I just think that if the fullbacks were rotating in terms of their role in playing in more advanced positions, it would help with the fluidity of the attack. That's my personal opinion, right? Another issue that from a tactical standpoint that can be addressed going forward is delayed substitutions. We saw this well, many people would argue that it happened in the first three games. I saw it especially in the fourth game rather against the United States of America, right? So Nicholson and Gray were our very first substitutions in that game against the United States. Those subs came in the 74th minute. The United States substitutions, first set of substitutions, came a little bit over 10 minutes earlier. And my thing is that the pressure was constantly building. It was building in that second half, building, and you could sense a goal was coming, right? And Tappa just stood by and did nothing. Absolutely nothing. It is a dereliction. it is a dereliction of his duties what he did in that second half, guys. An absolute dereliction of his duties to just sit down and watch the pressure building and not do anything at all. Watch the midfield losing more and more and more control and not doing anything at all, right? I mean, it's just ridiculous. For one, you want to ring the changes to break up the pressure, right? To break up the United States rhythm. And also, we need changes to affect even, I mean, you saw that the game was changing and you did nothing about it, and you waited too long and you waited to the point where the game just completely got away from us. That needs to change going forward, boss. I mean, look, I don't have an issue, you know. A lot of people say, oh, Whitmore is reactive and he's not proactive, right? It would be good if he was proactive, but it's not even him being reactive is what irks me, you know, right? It's him taking too long to react. That is what irks me. That is what irks me. The man takes too long to react. He takes too long to react. And that, you know, we have seen it in this tournament, especially in the game that we have knocked us out of the tournament. He took too long to react, right? And don't get me wrong, you know, I thought that there were other games when I thought that him taking too long to react argument was unreasonable, right? I think it was unreasonable for the Suriname game, for the Guadeloupe game, and for the Costa Rica game, but it definitely applies to the game against the United States, right? Another issue, poor substitutions. Two in question that I really had an issue with. It is an indictment against Theodore Tappa Whitmore that Bobby D. Cardova-Reid was allowed to finish that game against the United States of America. He was the worst player on the park. He was the worst player on the park. The man was a magician. The man pulled a disappearing act on a number of plays for the Reggae Boys, right? And you see, the thing is with his poor performance, it put a serious pressure. It put serious pressure on DJ, and it put serious pressure on Speedy Williams. Why is that so? Because the linkage in the middle of the park was greatly affected because Bobby D. Cardova-Reid was playing so poorly, right? People knock him for starting him. Truth be told, it's probably, I personally would have started Maggie. Seen? But as much as it's reasonable to knock him for that, I never even not really to blast him for that, right? But when you saw that, but especially in the second half, Bobby D. Cardova-Reid was poor, and you allowed the man to finish the game, brother. How that? The linkage in the middle of the park was seriously being affected because of Bobby D. Cardova-Reid just totally being out of the game. The man wasn't linking properly with Speedy and Daniel Johnson, like how you saw Maggie in the Costa Rica game linking with Speedy and Johnson, right? And hence, Speedy and Johnson had to be working even harder to try and maintain possession for the Reggae Boys in the middle of the park, and kill up themselves and tired out themselves. The man them couldn't get for work the ball properly in the middle of the park and provide that link-up play and that linkage. Because Bobby D. Cardova-Reid was just absent. He was just absent. It's just as simple as that. So the man them start get tired. Plus the man them need that linkage to help to maintain possession, not getting the linkage. Plus the man them start get tired and burn out. And US just started taking more control of the game, right? And US brought on their subs, and we saw the impact that their subs made as well. And you know, Theodore Whitmore, you know, the man never do nothing but the Cardova-Reid. The man keep him on the park. Nicholson also, right? That game where Nicholson stayed on the park way too long. Right, in that second game where the man missed a 1,000,001 chances, right? And the man take off Nicholson in about the 88th minute. Seeing, I wasn't defending Tappa, you know. I was just explaining on my live the rationale why I thought probably this was the reason why Tappa kept him on. But I still thought Tappa was wrong to keep him on, right? Another issue that I have, and truth be told, I won't even lay this squarely at the feet of Tappa, is that there were too many makeshifts in the team, right? Especially in midfield. Too many makeshifts. All of the midfielders were makeshifts. Bobby D. Cordova-Reid, makeshift number 10. DJ, makeshift number 8. Right? The man is a number 10. Hector is a centre back playing as a CDM. While I'm not a Hector basher, right? I'm not a Hector basher, but it was just too many makeshifts, right? Speedy is a box to box. Too many makeshifts in the middle of the park, guys. And I personally think that was an issue, right? Yeah, so and another issue that I have, right? Another issue that I have. Were the wingers tasked with crossing the ball? Seriously, were the wingers tasked with crossing the ball? Because the way I see it, if a player is doing something wrong, right? The manager would have said, oh, boss, you're doing something wrong, and talking to the player, and after a while, you will see improvements, right? Yes, there were moments in the tournament where wingers were crossing the ball. Blair Turgott had a couple of good crosses, to be fair, in the Costa Rica game. But for the most part, the wingers in the tournament were not crossing the ball as effectively, as efficiently. As a matter of fact, they weren't even trying. A lot of the times, they weren't even trying. Some people boil it down to personal traits. I respectfully disagree. For some strange reason, I don't think it was stressed enough. I think if a manager were to sit down the wingers and say, look, cross the ball. In addition to that, a lot of the times the wingers were inverted wingers. It's not their natural inclination to cross the ball. And I think that because they were inverted wingers, it tells you that their role was not really to cross the ball, right? And that neutralized one of the main strengths of all of our strikers, which was their aerial ability. All of the strikers were good with their head. And hence, because they weren't really getting a lot of crosses, not really many headers to write home about. So I think that is another issue as well. Another thing that I want to address quickly, in hindsight, it would probably have been best for my whole argument was I saw in the Costa Rica game, right? Where Speedy started, right? When Theodore Tappa Whitmore needed some impetus in the middle of the park, so to speak, right? He brought in Damian Lowe from out the back line, right? And you saw what Damian Lowe did in the middle of the park in that last couple of minutes against Costa Rica, right? And my thing is that would have been very useful in the US game. To one, he could have put Mario or Hector in the back line, brought in Low in the middle of the park, and put a DJ at number 10, for instance, right? Because the fact of the matter is we needed something. We needed something in the middle of the park, right? We were loose. So one, a change should have been made. Bobby should have come off, right? And also, the argument against starting Williams was that there was nobody to come off the bench to give the midfield a spark if we needed it, right? I think we could have done what we did in the Costa Rica game and switch things up in the middle of the park and put Damian Lowe in the middle of the park, play him alongside Speedy rather, and put DJ in the number 10 role, or even take off DJ and put Tyreek McGee, however way you want to put it. That could have been an option. As I think that spark that we got in the Guadeloupe game and the Suriname game off the bench from Speedy, someone from off the bench to come into the midfield and inject life into the middle of the park, I think that was kind of missing but I mean, to be fair, the game had gotten away from us already, right? And McGee, came on late, and by that time the game had gotten away from us. But a player to come into the middle of the park in a deeper position to help to control and to dictate and up the tempo, so to speak, right? Another thing that I had an issue with as well was Burke in the US game. He alone, for the most part, was engaging in an intense front press, right? It's wise when you're engaging in an intense front press to press as a collective, right? I didn't think it did the player any good to have him engaging in an intense front press, and I don't think it did the team any favors either, right? So those are some of the issues from a tactical perspective that I think we can address that were mistakes in the tournament, and that I think that we can address going forward. Many people will allude to the main one being the delayed substitutions, right? Bobby Decker in that US game, Bobby Decker over, he he never came off any at all. Took too long to bring on Tyreek McGee, right? So guys, hit me in the comment section and let me know as well your tactical errors and tactical things to improve on going forward as well into the World Cup qualifiers in the comment section. So take care, guys, and until next time.